I'm ready.
I'm preparing.
It's always live though.
Is it?
Yeah. Sorry, just go ahead.
Well, I'm going to start out with our introduction this evening. This is the City of Westminster Historic District Commission. We are Wednesday, June 4th at 6 p.m. We're at City Hall at 1830 in Westminster, Maryland. And I'm going to call us to order with our statement of authority. The Westminster Historic District Commission derives from the authority from Chapter 164, Article 9A of the City Code, which is authorized by the Maryland Code Annotated Land Use Article Division 1, Single Jurisdiction Planning and Zoning, Title 8, Historic Preservation. The qualifications of the Westminster Historic District Commission are on file at the City Administration Building at 45 West Main Street, and the file is open to the public. I'd like to do a quick roll call of who's here this evening.
Chris Amadori.
Kathy Beatty.
Krista McMaster's chair, and we have our reliable city staff.
Melissa Thorne, Economic Development Coordinator.
Mark Deepa, the Director of Community Planning and Development.
Terrific, thank you. All right, well, this evening we're going to start with new business, and as soon as we're finished, you can leave. You don't have to stay for business or anything else unless you have a great parking spot out there.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to start with item A, TC 2503, pre-construction historic district tax credit application review for 145 West Main Street. And usually we turn to city staff to make a presentation.
147.
147, and I might just let us
No, you're good, I saw it.
good thing for the record.
I'm just going to pull up just a PowerPoint here. Give me 1 second so we can share it with the folks watching online. Here we go. All right, great. There's so many things happening. There we go. Great. Well, tonight we're here to talk about a pre-construction application for 147 West Main Street. Here tonight, as you know, Kevin Banker, the property owner and the applicant, is requesting this application. We're calling it TC 2503. So this is our third application for the year. So pursuant to the zoning ordinance section 143(5)(b), an eligible property includes properties located within the city's local historic district, properties listed individually in the National Register of Historic Places, or contributing properties located within a National Register district. And we also define our eligible work as written below. I won't go through all of those. So this property is located really in the middle of the historic district, at the edge of the downtown business zone, reflected in blue there, and is considered an eligible property under zoning ordinance section 143-5B because it is located in the Westminster Historic National Register District. For this project, the description is to remove peeling paint, sand and repair siding, apply primer, and 2 coats of finishing paint and caulk. We'll go through some images of the building. Here's the east elevation. You can clearly see the paint peeling on this building. So this is another closer up view of the east elevations. And we have the west elevation.
Is this on the side of the spa? Westminster Spa, that little
Yeah.
house, okay.
That's correct. So the applicant received 2 cost estimates for the project, one from LPE Construction Services and one from Stanball Home Improvement. Both of these applications do have MHIC numbers associated with them, and those are included in the packet. Mr. Bankert would like to pursue the quote with LPE Construction Services with a total amount of $7,500. So tonight, our recommendation is that our commission here tonight reviews the pre-construction application and determine whether, number 1, the property is an eligible property. Number 2, that the proposed work outlined in attachment 1 qualifies as eligible work. And once those 2 are established, once the eligible work under section 143(5)(b) is approved, you can talk about the estimated project cost or if another amount as determined by the commission should be approved, and grant a certificate of eligibility for the post-construction.
Thank you, Ms. Thorne. Does this sound substantially accurate as to your request?
Yes, it does. The estimate include is basically the labor. I would still have to buy the primer and the paint, but yes.
So let's start with first motion of recommendation. Can we have someone to move that the property is eligible?
I have some questions, but do we need to do this first?
We do.
I move that this project is eligible for tax credits under City of Westminster.
Give a second.
I guess that's me. The second.
All right, so for discussion purposes, there's no problem with this being an eligible property within our historic district.
It's within the district, so.
So let's put that one to sleep.
So is that all it takes? Doesn't matter on the age of the building or
No.
anything like that? Okay.
Not for this motion. First, we're figuring out that it's eligible, then we'll move on to see if the work proposed is appropriate. So, any questions about eligibility? If not, we'll go on. I'll ask.
I was just wondering the age of that addition. I mean, it does, to me, that doesn't look like a historic addition to the building, but if anything within the district is eligible, then I guess my question's irrelevant.
I can answer the question if you'd like.
Yeah.
So the building itself was built in 1875. The addition was put on by State Senator Larry Haynes in 1980. That's that back. So that's the there's I'll call it a breezeway for lack of a better term, between the two, connected with an overhang, and then the back building sits behind it.
We don't traditionally accept that kind of thing for historic structures that are whole. If it were an outbuilding or something like that, it would be another story. But this is part of a historic structure, so
Are we don't
Keep
get
the whole
pushback from? Because I know when I was at the Historical Society, we wanted to do work on the Shriver Wainwright edition that went in 1968, and MHT turned us down and said that part of the building is not historic.
they had an easement on it. They don't have easements on these.
Okay.
So again, are we ready to vote on whether or not it's eligible? All in favor?
Great.
I guess you're saying it's eligible, so.
So next, about the post work is outlined in as to whether or not it's eligible work. The eligible work listed is removing peeling paint, sanding, and repairing siding. Apply 1 coat of primer and 2 coats of finishing paint and caulk. Guess I have a small little concern. Is there a contingency amount for if you find some of those shingles to have been rotted?
I mean, there could be a contingency. I would just, of course, pay it, whatever it ends up being. I didn't put it in his estimate because I am responsible for material. So including the primer, paint, and any shingles that would need to be replaced, would be my responsibility.
And you're doing the whole building, because the packet we got didn't show the front, so I wasn't sure if you.
Yeah, the front was there, but yes, it does include the entire building.
Okay.
So I'm a little confused. Why haven't the total costs been requested?
It's easier for me to absorb any material costs so they don't mark those things up. I just want, when I do a project, I want the labor costs. I'll take care of buying the material. And that's just the way I do projects.
I've done that before too.
Tends to work well for me, so I keep doing what works for me.
I've done that myself, when I applied for work, because I could save 20% on some stuff if I directly purchased it and the contractor did not. But I included it as part of my
I did
request.
not, yeah, I didn't think about that. My quotes to do it with them providing material was between $13,500 and $14,500.
Right. Well, would you consider, do you want to go back and rework both these quotes?
No,
Or is this a lesson learned in the next project you come to
this
us?
is my first experience going through there. I'll know next time. I didn't know the process, so
Yeah,
I just had what I knew was a set cost. Because I don't know, I think it's 20 gallons of primer, probably 40 gallons of paint. At this point in time, I knew that, but I didn't at the time. I did not include it, so I'm fine going forward where we are.
the only thing you couldn't put in is your own labor. If you're
No,
putting
no.
in sweat equity,
No,
you can't really put that into a budget.
agreed.
But you know, estimates, and then you would come back with proof that you bought 20 gallons of this and 10 gallons of that.
Okay.
And that proof would go towards offsetting or being included with their contract and their paid amount.
Would I do that upfront or do I do that at the end of the project when I know exactly what it was?
So you put in the estimate in the
Okay.
beginning, and we have to
Okay.
agree that that was reasonable. And then in the end, you prove up what you actually paid, and
Okay.
that's the actual amount of your 10%.
Okay, got it.
So you can put in that kind of a guesstimate in the
Okay.
very beginning.
Okay.
But in the end, you'll have to come back to us anyway and say, okay, we said we were gonna do these 4 things. We did them. Here's the receipts.
Okay. And for the receipts, yes, it would just be me paying the contractor for his labor.
Proof that you paid him for his contract, and in the future, proof that you paid for 20 gallons of paint. You know, get that from Sherwin-Williams or
Exactly
whoever
where I'm going.
purchase it from. But that would allow you, for some smaller projects, you would hit up over the $5,000 threshold.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. I don't want you to miss out on the opportunities. I don't know if you have any other structures in this historic district or not.
I don't, and I have some on East Main and Sycamore Street and Pennsylvania Avenue, so as things happen, they may. A lot of them I already did, so before I knew about this program, so I just did it out of my own.
Well, depending on what you're doing, sometimes those things, expensive, like, you know, an air conditioning unit
Oh,
or
sure.
something like that, you know. You may not want to pay your contractor to get that if you know someplace you can get it and they can just install it.
Right.
But that's. All right, questions from the commissioners?
I do have a question. So the original building, are they original wooden shingle? Are they wooden shingles?
They're wood cedar shingles.
Okay,
My assumption is they were the original. I of course don't know for a fact, but I believe they were, and when Larry Haynes redid it, he did the rest of the building in those same wood shingles.
okay, so it's wood, okay.
Yes, and that's why unfortunately, I wish it wasn't painted, I wish it was stained. With that said, when it was painted, they didn't primer it correctly, and that's why it's all chipping.
So what color are you gonna paint this again?
It's gonna end up being a gray.
Oh, great, okay.
Any other questions?
Are you gonna touch up the shutters and things?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, when it is done, if you ever, I did a project on Sycamore that owns 2 buildings. If you look at that, they were run down terrible. When you drive by it now, they're immaculate. This will end up being exactly the same when I'm done.
And normally we don't control paint color. But there's a trend right now for putting wooden trim of windows into all black, which looks industrial and is out of character.
Mhm.
Have you had any thoughts about what?
It was gonna be white around the windows. Now, my goal will be over the next couple of years, probably to replace all the windows.
Mhm.
I'm not asking for anything, or I'm just letting you know, so, because the front windows on the old building, the new building isn't bad, the front windows on the old building, they need to be redone, and they will be, but
So again, we can assist with that
Mhm.
as long as you're replacing, you know, essentially what you have. If you have 2/2, which I'm almost squinting and thinking it might be 2/2.
yes, it is.
Then it would
On the
be,
front.
you pick a wood Pella 2/2. You know, it's still gonna,
Mirrors.
it can be double glazed, but it needs to kind of look like the history.
Right, and it wouldn't, you couldn't replace wooden windows with aluminum.
It would need to be wood.
Yeah.
Yep, and I got some information on another project that a gentleman was telling me about, he was replacing the windows and stuff. So he had told me that his needed to be a certain way, and so anyway, I find it for, but nonetheless, I walked through the process with him as he went through it.
Yeah, we wouldn't be going with like the jealousy windows that roll out, or something at total different style.
The casement, yeah.
Yeah, we want to be able to walk down the street and say, it looks good for some reason,
Right.
but we're not sure why it looks so good. All right, so if we have no other questions from the commissioners, are we ready for a motion? That the proposed work is outlined in attachment 1 qualifies as eligible work.
I so moved.
Wait a second.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Are you gonna paint the fence?
The fence is, if I'm not mistaken, it's plastic.
Oh, okay.
So I was not planning on doing anything with that. Now, the fence between my house or this property and the house you're facing mine to the right is actually the lady's that lives in the one to the right of me. It should be replaced, but it's not mine to replace.
So you live next door to that?
Well, I own this 147, I was saying the lady or gentleman who lived next to me or lives next to this property.
Uh-huh.
There is a fence between that property and my property,
Okay.
but it's not mine.
Okay.
But mine on the front, which is mine, is plastic.
Any other questions? Hearing none, then I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Well, great, then it passes. Thank you very much on the proposed work being eligible. Now, we look down to the estimated cost, and I did offer you the opportunity to go back and rework your estimates, knowing what you know. Do the commissioners have a preferred approach on number 3 or number 4? What would you suggest? Personally, I think the LPE Construction Services estimate is certainly fair. I did notice the note at the bottom of the standby home improvement stating that it was just labor and not materials, and that sent off alarm bells because I did not see that in the other estimate, and I thought, we've got apples and oranges here. But it's clear that this homeowner is well aware of that and has an arrangement to that effect. So to me, then the lesser amount that they're requesting seems like a great option. And I would think we would select the estimated project quote of $7,500 to be considered accurate and acceptable. Now, if something happens, just so you know before we take this vote, you can come back to us for a change order.
Okay.
That's possible. But we do meet monthly, and unless it's an emergency where we would reconvene, like something really horrible happened, like the lift you were using to paint fell on the house and it's exposed and it's an emergency. Like, we would love to come back here for that, and I would hope we could come up with a form for that. But what's the chances of anything
Very,
horrible
very
is
slim.
gonna happen? Yeah. Probably.
Understood.
How do the commissioners feel? How does the city staff feel if we have a motion for number 3?
Sure, if you wanna loop in number 3 and 4 at the same time,
Let's do
so
it.
you're getting the project amount and then you're confirming the 10%.
Seems reasonable.
Okay, so do I hear a motion?
I so moved.
Thank you. It's easy. We're not even gonna try and figure out the wording because Melissa's gonna do it. Figure it out for us. Melissa will fix it for us.
She's been very helpful in the whole process.
She's
Thank you.
wonderful. Do we have a second on looking? Yes, the amount and the eligibility. So, any questions or concerns before we take a vote? No? Hearing none, all in favor? Agreed for, aye. So it's a consensus, and thank you very much. You're on your way.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great rest of your meeting. Thanks.
Good night.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Right. Old business. You don't have any listed old business. No?
We don't,
That's all the groups I belong to. This is the only one where I don't have anything lingering from old business. We just do it. Take care of it. Okay. Next, Historic District Commission implementation plan. I'm interested in how we're doing in the selection of the content.
Okay, so as you recall, last time we had talked about bringing it back to DC for input. Unfortunately, that is not the process. So because it is a decision by the mayor and county council, the bids are in. It will be before the mayor and county council June 9th. For recommendations, so it is moving forward. Join the agenda. Staff is recommending, along with support by, I guess, Maryland Historic Trust in a way. The lower bid, even though it was the lowest bid, we felt it was the best application.
Who the vendor is?
It was the EOC,
EAC. Archaeology.
so,
You didn't hear anything from me?
Yeah.
but we did vet it internally as well. The hope was to bring it to the East, and we can certainly provide the staff report and the 3 bids for the HTC. I can email you that out tomorrow.
Sure.
So you can see the report and what we're recommending. You can look at all the bids. But internally, we had Melissa and Andrea go over the bids. Andrea is familiar with doing this with the part of the Civil War applications. Melissa sent the MHT. They felt all qualified, but again, not. I'll just say they supported the EAC one.
I'm glad you stepped out and asked.
In this, yes, I think that was important for us as well, so. But we'll send that to you, you can see, you can look at it yourself, if you have any comments, let me know. But it seemed like it was a push to, let's move this forward and get in front, get the bid awarded, so we can move along with it.
Yeah.
So,
And of course, they looked over the bids, right? So they can agree to us once the mayor and common council agree, then it'll go up and the state will have to approve it again.
So okay, if I can jump in.
yeah.
Our project coordinator, I scheduled a meeting with her right away when we received the bid. We had a virtual meeting to talk about how all 3 of them qualified. However, we both agree the price was a huge factor for, the different thoughts on maybe the amount of team members required on the project and different things that might be necessary or unnecessary. The only thing I guess he's alluding to is we didn't get an actual letter or that says this is our recommendation. It was you can go ahead and choose that one kind of thing.
They're unlikely to do that
Yeah.
until you make the selection and then you'll have to report to them what the city selects.
Mhm.
They may still have an opportunity at comment or concern, because they have to ultimately pay the bill.
For sure. And then, so after at that point, they're ready to schedule a meeting though. That was my discussion from that. So we'll be following up with them on Tuesday, assuming all goes well Monday, with a recommendation and approval of the award amount.
And the benefit again for the one that staff's recommending, it fits within the budget. So it's, we had budgeted 30,000 as a matching to 30,000 the grant. So no need for a budget amendment and it fits, so it falls under a budget, and that's always a nice thing.
That was our hope. It's our hope, but well, fingers crossed, everybody proceeds happily.
Yeah.
Good. All right, great. Well, I cannot wait to meet and get rid of all the stuff in my dining room that I've been saving up for 2 years. Big box in my dining room. All right, great. Our nation's 250th anniversary. Items ongoing. About the street signs.
The project status has remained unchanged from last month.
How about downtown preparations?
I should have I didn't, I apologize. I reached out to a flag company to get some of our historic city owned buildings decorated with the flag. So I do have those running. I could send them out. When we send out the bids from the RFP, we could also include them. But essentially it's City Hall here, the city administration building, the clock tower. And we mentioned the streets and roads building, but I think we
Fitness.
might not.
The fitness center,
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, the armory.
Armory.
Included.
Be nice.
Yeah, so we're working out budget on that to see what's feasible. And then kind of the point of this is to set the stage to our business community and the property owners and say, hey, look what we're doing to celebrate. We want to make our buildings look really nice.
Mhm.
What are you thinking about your building? So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So that as far as the downtown preparations, I know we had discussed beautification. We are now in possession of some window washing tools, literal things like that such, but as far as like planters, I know we've added and planted planters, but I don't have any updates as far as like the wells, the tree pits. I'm looking at you, Chris, because we talked about this. So is there any updates on that, or is that something that's
not, it's still with streets.
we had discussed at one point, you were interested in maybe holding a work session?
Mhm.
If that's still of an interest, we can help coordinate that.
We were talking about a work session with mayor and common council,
Mhm.
just to kind of let them know what our plans were at this point,
Mhm.
so that they're kind of looking forward to it and being ready.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What did you think the best mode of transfer would be for that, to set that up?
To county admin, because mayor and common council do have work sessions now instead of just the typical meetings. It sandwich in between their regular meetings. And I guess the request would be the county admin to have you place in a work session, because it would be an actual work session for the specific topic.
This,
Did you say the county
I'm
admin?
sorry, city admin.
all
Sorry,
right, good.
did I say county? City admin.
Couple times, that's okay.
Yeah, I was thinking, I really want to talk to the city team rather than the county team.
City admin.
Not sure the county will give us.
Okay, so,
Great, good, let's do that. Grace is not here. Did she send anything about the plaques? Okay, commemorative sign in Belgrove Square. I've got some progress there. Melissa, Mark, and some other city officials met to reaffirm where that sign is going at Belgrove Square. You might remember when we applied for the grant to get the sign, there was a huge tree there and it's since come down. But I don't think it's really changed how we spatially think about where that sign goes, because there's also some utility lines right up where that tree was. So I think it holds the space that we planned for, which is good, because we put it in our grant applications, we put it in our application to the DAR, and because they demanded to know precisely where the sign was going, and they also demanded a sign from the city, which the city provided that they would care for it. So anyway, we had a field meeting and with the DAR regent, and I know that the sign has been ordered. So the clock starts from last week, I'd say Wednesday, 8 to 10 days before you get a delivery. The delivery is going straight to the Department of Public Works, so it's gonna be heavy. It doesn't have to come to any of the ladies' houses, and they has to come take it. I was a little surprised it comes with the pole. So bottom line is, though, we need to try and keep track of any hours you put in or any dollars the city puts in, because that's all part of the match. So
5 minutes today, so events permit, or yesterday, whatever it was.
We can include the meeting, can't we? Meeting on site for location.
That
hour, every time you think about it. I think it's a good hour every time you bring it up at Historic District Commission meeting. So, yeah. Especially since the pole's being covered, but the cement's probably not, whatever you need to put it in the ground, so.
Actually, yeah, so we did ask for that. We asked for if there's something they can provide to show us how to secure the pole. If we need a footer or whatever it might be, so we can at least start working that now.
Mhm.
In location, so we get it, it's ready to install essentially, so that would be the hope, but we'll see.
We'll see.
They usually, like the one for Mary Showman, they sent us instructions on how to put it together and how deep to sink it and all that stuff.
Yeah,
And yes, it's a pain when they drop it in your front hall. Plus the UPS guy was not fond of us.
Yeah, he was asking us to help Right, and then it's like.
No, we don't get paid to like that thing in here.
It's get paid all year. So. All right, great. Well, anyway, so we're gonna have a burlap sack around it so that when there's an event to christen it, it's sort of a surprise. But
Well, Abby offered a little bit nicer covering than a burlap. So,
we're looking at September 20th or 21st as being the event date. I did ask a local church if they would have a reception for us. And I was a little bit surprised and reminded that the church I talked to was a traditional peace church. And they don't celebrate the Revolutionary War. And I didn't think about that before I just made the request. So we may or may not have food. That's an extra wrinkle depending on the
Well,
weather.
there's two churches in Belgrove Square there.
Yeah. So, at any rate, please put it on your calendar, 20th or 21st in September. That's a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, thinking 2-ish. We're still hoping to get the municipal band involved, and it kind of depends on what they can, how many members. It would be a subset of the municipal band. So hopefully they'll want to join in with us. There'll be some speechifying. Bring your lawn chair.
Can we get our reenactor to portray William Winchester?
I would love for him to do that, but I
That's
don't
the
know.
William Winchester chapter of the DAR.
I know. And it seems to me like the SAR guy should be willing to come out dressed up. But to me, I look at this as the kickoff to the 250th. It's Constitution Week. So it's the beginning of Constitution Week. The end of Constitution Week is Fall Fest. So that's in conflict. We can't do that.
Right.
So we have to do it on this weekend to hit Constitution Week. And the Battle of Lexington and Concord already happened in April, 250 years ago. We're coming up soon on Battle of Bunker Hill the next few days. So the 250th is rolling now. We're in it. we're in it. It's just the 250th of the signing of the Declaration of Independence isn't until July, but we're in the thick of it right now. I can feel it. I can feel 250 going on. So we'll be kicking off with this as one of our first activities. All right. And the other sign, the last I've heard about the Patriots Trail sign for the Westminster Cemetery is that we've been reviewed, we're in good stead, but that they still haven't made a decision yet. So I'm still waiting. In fact, I think I'll ask them again in June to hear more of what they have to say, whether we're winners or not. We were the first from Maryland to even ask. And frankly, I kind of want to hear how we did with this one before I start submitting other cemeteries to the same process.
Yeah, you got the Shriver Cemetery and the Gist Family Cemetery.
You got St. Ben's,
Yeah.
got some Revolutionary War guys out there. So we'd be happy to put it, I'd be happy to just fill out the paperwork. I think the DAR ladies would. They created a countywide Patriot roll with the SAR years ago. So I think they know where a lot of them are.
Yeah.
And I think they're more than willing to like step into my place and do the administrative side of it all. But I don't want to unleash the DAR and the SAR if we're doing something fundamentally wrong. You know, like let's admit William Winchester's a patriot, but he never picked up a rifle. He's too old to actually fight. He's given veteran status because he was so enabling and so supportive and financially made things happen. But in a way, he's sort of too old. So I still call him a patriot. He still gets a veteran's flag every Memorial Day. But let's see what they say.
One of the founding fathers never picked up a rifle.
That's right.
And to see Ben Franklin or John Adams out on the battlefield, so.
Right, so next discussion, we've got it on the radar for the proclamation of May Preservation Month. We've already done it.
I know, and I was saying that earlier today, I was like, that probably should have been reworked to say 250th. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I guess my question is, when should the next proclamation be proclaimed?
Probably should be next May.
Okay, also May, okay.
I mean, that one's the one that will have done a few things, but then that one's the one to kind of say, okay, the signing of the Declaration of Independence is coming up. Hopefully, we'll have a significant portion of our reevaluation of the city's resources to announce then too. Hopefully, I mean, we can make that a goal of that proclamation to say, hey, we've got it all digital, it's gonna be great.
Where's the Westminster Cemeteries project? Okay, that's a big one.
It's just taking longer than
You would hope it would.
I hope. Plus, frankly, I'm running out of steam. I send them stuff and it gets lost, and then I send them stuff. They ask for it 6 months later and running out of steam. I've had so many emails back and forth. I'm just like, would this just magically get done? So we're pretty close. They want to be done. I don't want to be done, that's for sure. The Liberty Tree plaque, I think, is waiting for the rest of the plaques. And the event programming is what we were gonna. The event programming is what we were gonna talk about a little bit with the city council and mayor. Right. And then the last thing is 250th meeting updates. Did you have anything you want to share?
I probably should have prepared something. Let's see, I'm going to just peruse quickly. To see if there's any speaker series events coming up. Of course, there is the Carol 250 website where we're featuring all the events that are coming up in the city. All right, so well, the next big thing we have coming up is here on this site. Our 162nd Corbett's Charge anniversary event.
Great.
Yep, so
Great.
planning to attend that. Excited.
Okay, good.
What is that?
It's the last Saturday in June.
What is that, Mark?
It's for the public. She didn't say the date.
June 28th,
Of course I do.
2025,
Thank you, Melissa.
from 10 to 5. Yeah, right here at City Hall. And that's with our Pipe Creek Roundtable books.
All righty, good. Good. All right, so is there any else 250th we should go over? No?
Don't think so.
All righty, so we can now move to Historic District Commissioner comments. What's been done in the last month for the good of the public? Got anything, Chris?
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right, me, just the DAR signage that we're pushing. And that's it for me. Any staff discussion for the good of the realm?
Just signs, historic district signs. So we were citing individuals in downtown for some of the signage violations for commercial. That has led to the mayor and common council looking at updating the sign ordinance for downtown historic district and having, discussions about what would be acceptable and what is not acceptable. Signage downtown.
But they already have an ordinance that just needs to be enforced, right?
Yes.
So when I go downtown, there is more neon in the windows than there was a month ago. So like, if they're being cited, they're not paying attention to it. I mean, and I've seen things put back in the windows.
Mhm.
So like, how is it being enforced?
As we're moving towards updating the sign ordinance as to what determine what is, there needs to be some guidance. I think that's what it comes down to. what is acceptable, what isn't, and there isn't much guidance as to especially the historic district, you want to get specific to the historic district. So I think that's the goal, is provide what is acceptable and provide guidance. And it's the ordinance is old, and it's been questioned as to whether it's being interpreted the right way. So but the goal is that the hope would be we come out with a better product with clear direction as to, and clear examples as to what is acceptable for historic district, what other historic districts are doing, what they find acceptable. That would be my hope that we get out of this.
What can we do to help?
And it's not old, it's I was on that sign commission or committee, whatever, 3 years ago. And that's like the latest, so how is that old?
Not to the historic district. I think that we have additional signage for historic district, that's the only place we allow blade signs in the historic district in the city. And there's other elements, that's where it talks more about where signs can be placed on a building in downtown. And it generally talks about the type of sign, but it allows, it's not clear as to whether they can be illuminated. I can go more than one about that. So I think it's updating, having clear direction and clear path as to what is acceptable for downtown Westminster. So I guess the way you can help, if you have examples of other sign ordinances from other historic districts that you found that worked, that provided clear information, provided elements that you don't like, that would be helpful. We're gonna do that research as well, but I was I want to hit the major ones. Frederick and Annapolis.
I would guess that MHT would have some helpful.
I go to Frederick, I would use them as the shining example, or Ellicott City or something like that.
Maybe Chesterton. All right, great. Well, let's try and do a little support for you, see what we can come up with. And how are we doing with master planning?
The first, with the downtown master plan,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the historic district inventory is a catalyst for that. So that moving forward, I would see us starting to ramp up, looking for consultants as to for the bidding out of the master plan.
And I think I must have forgotten after our last meeting, do I need to resurrect the master plan implementation strategies that we brought up a year or two ago? Do you still have it, or do you need?
I still have that, yeah.
Okay, good, because that was specifically slotted into each part of our existing master plan. And they were simple amendments to be more specific about implementation of the Historic District Commission's preferences for the master plan for the city. I zoned in on 3 or 4 sections of the master plan. I think I read over the whole dang thing, and then we all worked together to make sure that we had it very specifically, line by line, placed within the context of the master plan.
Yes, we did.
So I think unless there's something we need to do further on that, that should be helpful to your consultant.
Yeah, and ultimately, at the end of the day, I still see the master plan as being somewhat of a regulatory product as well.
Sure.
So the guide, saving buildings, what to do with buildings, so it's kind of a roundabout way of having the actual ordinance and regulation in the ordinance, you have it in this master plan, and still get the goal is still achieved.
Right. Becomes part of what is regulated. Yep, sounds good. All right, anything else, Mr. B?
Just potential new businesses downtown. Do you want to talk about those?
Sure, you might have seen some activity. We have, of course, I don't know if I mentioned Pilates, what is it? Pilates Studio, Village West. Let's start over. Village West Pilates at 18 West Main Street. This is between Pomeroy Jewelers and Mercer Carpet.
That building set back a little bit.
Sure, used to be Guns TV.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, it had, and then there is another use they're working on in the back of grocery store.
Hmm.
And then at 51 East Main Street, next to Global Media and Aaron Robert Hair Studio is, I don't know the pronunciation, but it will be a Filipino grocery store as well, or a Filipino market, I should say. So that is coming in, and did I miss anybody else?
But just an update on 7173 and the funds that we've received for some of this downtown. I don't know if you've
We were-
seen 7173.
We were awarded, we haven't received.
I'm sorry, we were awarded. But that project's coming along really well. They already have a business that they're anticipating to go into the space. I forget what the name of the business is.
Cooper's Golden Hour Portraits, so it's dog photography.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Very unique. But the work is going along as planned, and I think it's turning out really nice. And so that,
Melissa, how about that site visit that you and I did? I forgot about that.
I wanted to mention that.
Good.
Yeah, so we
I did do
visited,
something.
you did, we both went to 219 East Main Street. The city received a demolition permit for the back summer porch, if you will, that is deteriorated significantly. And we determined that there was a historic structures report required for this project. And we've actually received one already. And so now there is review happening to see what is included, maybe what needs to be included. And then I will kick it to you all with some thoughts.
Great.
And then hopefully we will be able to schedule something. There is talks about this project being emergent. And we've suggested that the owner reach out to the county to secure or work to secure certain elements of the building. But this potentially could be a project where we might ask if there is some time that you could slot in for a special meeting so that we could review it quicker. But I just want to make sure that we have time to review it. I think in the past we've kind of we've had them before us within a week or so. I can't recall, but it was too soon. Right, so
it's an enclosed porch from the rear of the house. Did you take a look at?
I did, and one thing that I found somewhat concerning is that the description didn't really match what I saw. And that's one reason why I asked Melissa to be sure that they get a historic structures report, because is it a 5-inch gap? Or if you look on the front, the wood is continuous and it's historic, and there doesn't seem to be structural issues. If you look at the piers, there doesn't seem to be structural issues. They're not sinking. I think one thing that's a little off-putting is that most historic porches, and these are two porches, sleeping porch and a lower porch, they're on an angle, so the water rolls off of them. They're perfectly flat. The water would pool and rot. We miss this building. So they're on an angle on purpose, and I think that kind of upsets the use of the building because, for example, handicapped folks are in danger of rolling down. So
You said 219 East Main?
So it's
the one with the porch on the front, and there used to be large banners on that building in particular. The previous owner.
Was the attorney?
Yes.
So was that Steve Brex's office?
This is this one.
Yeah, it's just, it was dilapidated and,
something about
it-
assistance with gambling, assistance with other issues, kind of therapy kind
the
of.
building was not looking good even when he was operating well. So yeah. You have actually seen animals, right? I've seen animals climb in and out of the broken windows.
Oh, yeah, for a long time there, that window was missing. We actually thought it was appropriate. There was a vulture that was nesting in there. When you'd go home from work, we'd see the vulture come flying out. Well, that's in the lawyer's office.
So it's good, it's good. So it's great, it's been purchased and this gentleman's trying to renovate it.
Yeah.
And that's-
It's a nice building.
I just feel
Needs
that,
some love.
you know,
Yeah.
if he did an HSR, somebody would tell him, you know, maybe it's not as bad as it looks, that it's actually designed to have angles like that off, like so the water rolls off. And maybe, you know, consider maybe less drastic than what I heard. And of course, I didn't hear it from the actual landowner, I heard from Melissa, but it sounded like just wanting to blow off everything and replace it. And it's like, I don't think that's necessary to blow off all that history.
Yeah, so he did his due diligence and he went in and got some pictures and some historical context here. So I'm hoping to get this to you very soon so that we can all read it and provide comment back on it. Yeah.
So I did do one site visit.
Pretty busy.
Yeah. Okay, so is there anything else from city staff? Anybody else get triggered? Did remembering anything from this last month? No? No. So hearing no other scheduled business, I will declare this meeting